All right. So if it's all right, I'd like to give you a few questions from the kids.
Sure, yeah. Let me just turn the camera. Yeah, sure.
Okay. Okay, first one came from Michael, who's one of our longtime members here. At what age did you start coding?
Yeah, that's a good question. So initially, my mom had given me access to like some websites. Those meant for kids. With block-based languages. So I used to use them initially, but back when I was like 4 or 5. Then I discovered other programming languages. And by the age of like 5, I was developing some basic CLI programs in Java using Eclipse. So and then I got into the realm of Android app development by the age of 6 or so, and I published my first app on the Google Play Store back then. So yeah, that's how I started programming.
So you were about 6? Is that?
Indeed.
Wow. Okay. All right. Next question comes from Siam. In fact, Siam, okay, let's see if we can start bringing some kids up so you can see them.
Hi.
Sure.
So I have a question, 2 questions for you. What state in India do you live in?
I live in Karnataka, Bangalore. So.
Okay. And do you speak any other languages besides English?
Yeah, I speak Hindi, which is national language of India. So
That makes sense.
Thank you.
Okay. Who would like to go next with a question? Please, Prisha. Shh, guys, voices down, please.
I have one question for you. What inspired you to code?
So like I mentioned in my previous answer, my mom had given me access to some basic blog-based programming websites for kids. I found them pretty interesting. Then so I discovered languages. So my mom would tell me to also, like, when I asked her any questions, she'd always tell me to Google it myself, any questions I had. So that got me started, and I did not learn it from anyone else, to be precise. So yeah, I started searching for stuff myself. I discovered other programming languages, and that's how I got started. And I was pretty interested in it. So yeah.
Very cool. Thank you. Harry?
Why did you make Ubuntu Unity?
Can you speak up a little bit?
Yeah. Sure, yeah.
Why did you make Ubuntu Unity?
Yeah, so the first distribution that I started out with was Arch. Unlike most of the Linux users, that was the first one I started using. Then I decided to give Ubuntu a try because it was recommended on many websites. So the first release I used was 1704. That was the last release using Unity, contrary to information provided on other websites. Many websites state that 1804 was the first release using Unity. It was actually 17 or 10. So
Isaac,
I really liked it. I used to use an extremely low spec laptop with a 1366 by 768 resolution display. So before that, on Arch, I used KDE, and elements were extremely large, and it was not at all optimized for small displays and for lower resolutions, just like Windows, with pretty similar user interface, of course. So Unity was much better for such displays because the taskbar was vertical, unlike most of the desktop environments by default. And then the global menu saved a lot of vertical space because while 15 pixels may not seem like much on modern displays, it was a lot with such low resolution displays. So that got me hooked onto Unity. And then I upgraded to 17 or 10. It had a pretty vanilla kernel experience apart from the ambient theme. So yeah, I didn't like it as much. I started just hopping to other distros. I started hopping to other distros again, Fedora, Arch, and others. I'm like, until I decided to give Ubuntu a spin again in 2019 or so. I became pretty active in the Ubuntu community. Then I discovered some threads created on Ubuntu Discourse that is essentially the Ubuntu forums. It's main Ubuntu forum apart from ubuntuforums.org. So there were several threads related to reviving Unity. So I decided to create a small little spin named Ubuntu back in March 2020. So that was the foundation. That was the foundation for Ubuntu Unity, which I will release 2 months later in May. So I rewrote Ubuntu Unity from scratch. I mean, rewrote from the right term. I built the first Ubuntu Unity ISO back in May 2020 after Ubuntu, which wasn't as popular. It was just I just created a small forum thread for it, and a few people tried it out. And yeah, so Ubuntu Unity was released in May 2020 as a successor of Ubuntu during my summer vacations. So I was in 6th grade back then. So I created
stop for a second here. So you were in 6th grade when you put out the first version of Ubuntu Unity.
Indeed, I was 10 back then, so
it was 10 years old.
indeed.
So that's very, very impressive. Let's why'd you have Cam? Okay, thanks a lot, Harry.
Who inspired you to start working on Ubuntu and other Linux distros?
No particular person, because like I mentioned earlier, I used to develop Android apps and publish them to the Google Play Store. So I had an extremely slow laptop. I tried increasing the page files size and increasing the scope on Windows, didn't help. It was a 2-core laptop with 4 threads, extremely slow processor. So I read a few pages of articles about distros, about Linux distros in general, decided to try them out, sort of giving Arch Linux a spin using a custom Arch installed scripts from GitHub, just give it a try, and absolutely loved it. It was much faster than Windows. And my Android app builds, which used to take me like 10 minutes on Windows. So they would usually take around 2 minutes, and those are pretty complex Android apps, by the way. So like bus trackers, which my school too decided to adopt, and stuff like that. So yeah.
All right, very cool. So you started with Arch, and then you started branching out into other distros after that, including Unity, or including Ubuntu. And I saw not long ago that you had come up with an image of Unity that could be installed on Arch. If I got that right?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Okay. Jasmine, and then Sabrina. Guys, please.
Do you like to travel?
Of course.
All right. Okay. Sabrina, and then Savannah. So why don't both of you two come on up? Back there, please.
What's your favorite animal?
Favorite animal. I would say being a Linux user. I mean, you probably know the answer. Penguins.
Recurring theme, yeah.
What inspired you to create another Linux program?
Linux program.
Okay, what
Yes.
inspired you?
Yeah.
Okay, Savannah's question was what inspired him to create another Linux program?
So, if you're talking about Linux programs, I mean, Ubuntu Unity was a flavor of Ubuntu, to be precise, but yeah, in general, it was after joining the Ubuntu community, because people there were extremely encouraging. And there'll be people who write scripts, upload them, for stuff like installing the latest alpha version of the Linux kernel that hasn't even been packaged by the Ubuntu kernel team, and stuff like that. So that was my first script that I published. That was the first shell script I published on Ubuntu Discourse. So and there were many people to try it out. And then I worked on other software. For example, I'm sure you'd be aware of the Rolling Thunder remix. So that is a project that is led by Martin Bimses. That was led by Martin Bimses. It's now its own independent distribution run on Linux. So I created a Linux distribution pretty much identical to that back in 2020 in the beginning. That's used to say also that was also when I was in 6th grade. So it used the same concept as Rolling Dino to use Ubuntu's stable channel for receiving updates. So in short, so installing in distributions as for installing distributions, you never need to update. You never need to update. Never need to update to major point releases. Say in the case of Ubuntu, you have Ubuntu 20.04, 20.10. These are released every 6 months for Ubuntu. And then in other distributions that are distributed, I mean, including distributions such as Arch Linux, you never need to update to major point releases because you release updates all the time. So you can just use pacman-sy to update pacman-syu to update the latest version of all the packages. You never update major releases of the distribution. So
All right.
I decided to try implementing something like that for Ubuntu. And yeah, that was the first such thing I implemented for Ubuntu, and I uploaded it as a script to the Ubuntu discourse. So that was the first Linux program. And then yeah, I made it into a distribution. So that was also the first remix that I developed of Ubuntu. So
Now
yeah.
you keep bringing up the Ubuntu Discord, which is the communication channel that Ubuntu has for their community and their developers. What has been the reaction of people to the work that you're doing, either over Discord or in person? What has been the reaction of people?
Yeah, so on Ubuntu discourse, on Ubuntu discourse, people were pretty friendly. Many people tested it out. For example, Alan Pope had given it a try, sent some screenshots of Ubuntu Unity the very day I had released it, and yeah, it had pretty good reception, pretty positive reception. And yeah, this was when I released it for the first time to beta of Ubuntu Unity a few hours. And after that, within a few hours, I've released the stable version 2. So yeah, and after that, there were many people, of course, who criticized Ubuntu Unity, and then people on Twitter, for example, like if I posted it to r/Linux, there were many people who were opposed to the idea of reviving Unity, as you may have expected, because there were many people who hated Unity from the
I remember that there were a lot of people that hated Unity when it was alive, and then all of a sudden it goes away, and then people come out of the woodwork and talk about how much they missed it. So yeah, that was weird. Yeah.
I mean, most users, there are many people who join the Ubuntu Unity communities, said they hated Unity, decided to give it a try, and yeah, they were pretty impressed, and they were shocked because the impressions were based on the initial releases of Unity back from Ubuntu 11.04, 12.04, and such releases. So
because I was actually using Unity with Ubuntu way back in April of 2011 when 11.04 came out. So I remember it from the beginning, and it got better as it went along. So it's like I never got where the hate came from, but it was definitely out there. Okay, guys, quiet down, please. Isaac.
How old were you when you built Ubuntu Unity?
How old were you when you built Ubuntu Unity?
I was 10. I was 10 back then.
Yeah, it was 10 years old. Braden, and then Lev. Okay, and Braden, a number of the kids here are ones that sort of filtered in today because they're active in the Penguin Corps. Braden's one of those. He's one of our 5th graders this year.
Hi, my question is, other than Unity, what is your favorite distro?
Yeah, so I would say Arch. I do Ubuntu and Arch, and then I also developed CentOS, which I was actually going to release a major version of today. So yeah, I'll be doing
We're-
that after. So yeah, I use Arch and I prefer Arch. I use Arch too, so I do Ubuntu and Arch.
Well, we are going to be trying out Arch on Thursday. Our Thursday group's going to be trying out different distros this week. So, Lev, please.
What hobbies do you like to do besides coding?
Yeah, so I play tennis, for example, lawn tennis, and then I also play a number of instruments, including the tabla. So yeah, tabla and tennis. Those are my main favorite hobbies. Apart from developing Linux distros.
Tennis. Okay. Very cool. Ashwin. Okay. This is Ashwin.
Do you do anything other than coding?
Well, he just mentioned.
Yeah.
Oh,
Just like I mentioned, yeah, I just answered that. I play tabla and tennis. I play the tabla and tennis. So
James.
what is your family like?
Oh, okay. Yeah. How many people are in your family? Guys, quiet down, please.
I mean, my parents and my maternal grandparents, I live with them. So yeah, and they're pretty supportive of my projects. So yeah,
Do you have any brothers or sisters?
no.
Oh, okay. Okay. Simon. Look. All right. Simon's back up, and then we got a couple questions from some of our newer members back there.
Do you play Fortnite?
I gave it a try when I used Windows, but then I used Linux, and I'm still waiting for them to implement an anti-cheat solution on Linux. So yeah.
Yeah, that would be nice if they would actually make the anti-cheat work for Linux. Yeah, that would be great.
I believe it uses EAC, and so I'm not sure why they haven't implemented it yet. So
Yeah, exactly. Jaden, and you're new with us this year. Okay, what is your name again? Yeah, Shuaib. Okay, and who just joined us last week. So Jaden, and Shuaib, both of you coming up. Okay, Jaden first, and then Shuaib.
My question is, was it hard for you to do coding?
I started from the ground up with Java and other languages. Not really. Like I used block-based languages initially, so no, not really.
Okay, all right. Shuaib.
What do you like to do in your free time?
Watch a bit of LGT regularly. Then hop onto a couple of CS:GO games maybe. Then play tennis. Yeah, that's
Oh,
what I
very
do.
cool. Now, okay, Daniel.
And I mean, this is a part of my projects, which I also develop in my free time. So yeah, I develop them mainly in my free time.
Okay, one question. The city that you live in, or the state that you live in India, what is the climate like there? Do you live in a very warm place? Does it ever get cold there, or what is it like?
It's pretty warm. So I moved to the city just a couple of years ago. So where I come from, that place is that place is extreme weather, extreme colds, extreme summer. So it could hit above 50 degrees Celsius, dip down to like 0 degrees Celsius sub-zero. It never went sub-zero, but yeah, pretty close to zero. So yeah, this was a
Okay.
pleasant change. It's always around 25 to 30 degrees Celsius here. So
Yeah, here in Minnesota, we definitely get all 4 seasons, sometimes in the same week, especially in April.
that
All
was too
right,
much in really too. So.
Yeah. Mitchell. Okay, I think we have time for maybe one more after that. We'll see Mitchell and then maybe Kira. So Mitchell, come on up. Guys, please.
Do you have good grades?
I taught my class, so yeah.
Top of his class. Okay. Kira. Okay.
So what are your plans for the future of Ubuntu Unity?
Okay, plans for the future of Ubuntu Unity?
So we plan to migrate away from GNOME apps. So GNOME is a desktop environment. And Unity was initially a shell for the desktop environment. So GNOME consists of a variety of apps that use the GDK UI toolkit. So Unity was developed as a shell to use those apps initially. However, we're planning to expand it into its own desktop environment. So I'm just being a shell for GNOME. So it also uses a number of apps from other desktop environments. And they're planning to migrate away entirely from Ubuntu apps. I mean, from GNOME apps. Yeah. We're planning to migrate away from GNOME apps in the next few releases and then improve its UI to make it user-friendly, make it a bit more user-friendly, because currently it requires you to use maybe keyboard shortcuts for some things, for example. So we plan to make it a lot more user-friendly too, and make things such
Okay.
as the global menu and pod more intuitive. Yeah.
Okay, so developing it into a full desktop environment rather than it just being a shell for GNOME, and making it more user-friendly as you go along. Okay. All right. Last question, one of our newer members here. Okay. Okay, this will be our last question.
So, how are you gonna make any like design any more software? And if you do, how many more?
I think get the second part.
Mhm.
No, I
right.
said I didn't get the second part of the question.
Oh, she said, are you going to develop any more software? And if so, how many more?
Oh, all right. So, I mean, I just released a new distribution based on Arch just a couple of months ago, and I released a major update to it just yesterday or day before yesterday, and I'm planning to release another major update to it today, right after this meeting. So, yeah.
Well,
Then I'm trying to work on a lot with software too, for existing distributions. And then I've also written a couple of compilers and interpreters for my own languages, my own programming languages. So yeah, that's stuff I'm interested in. And then developing OS kernels, because I used to develop OS kernels too when I was around the age of 8 or so. When I was around the age of 8 in third grade. So I developed a few kernels, and my eventual plan is also to try to build a minimal Unix-like kernel eventually.
okay, I've got one last question from me.
Sure.
You got to go to like a big Ubuntu conference in Europe a few months ago. Have you gotten to meet any of the big names in the software world, like Linus Torvalds or Mark Shuttleworth or anybody like that?
I did meet Mark Shuttleworth there.
Oh, very cool.
Yeah. I mean, Ogla quickly introduced me Oliver Clobert, Canonical. He introduced me to Mark Shuttleworth. And yeah, I did meet him there.
Okay,
I then also
very
did a lot of Lutus and others, so I played a couple of games on his team there. So yeah, I had a fun time there.
Oh, very cool. Okay. Okay, guys. That Rudra, I want to thank you very much for meeting with us today. That is all the time we have for today. Guys, if you could all just say thank you and goodbye.
Had a
Okay.
fun time speaking to you all and answering all of your questions. So yeah, bye everyone.
Thank you very much.